everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be unpacking an interview with Liz, the wizard Liz.
Oh, yeah. I've seen her stuff online. She's got some strong opinions.
She does, and some people even call her a narcissist, but I think she brings up some really important points about, like, self-love and taking responsibility for your life.
And she's had to overcome a lot to get to where she is today.
Exactly. She's super open about her past and how her dad's abuse really affected her growing up.
It's amazing how she uses her experiences to help others.
Definitely. Like, she even says that, and this is a powerful quote, when your abuser leaves the house, you start abusing yourself.
Whoa, that's heavy.
It is, and it makes you think about how we sometimes internalize that negativity, even when we escape a toxic environment.
It can be hard to break free from those patterns.
For sure. Liz actually says that her life really began when her father left.
Like it was a turning point for her.
Yeah, because she was forced to confront her trauma and make a choice. Like, is she going to let her past define her, or is she going to choose a different path?
And she chose to take control. That's where her whole thing about taking responsibility comes in.
You got it. Instead of blaming her past, she focused on what she could control. She actually has this great quote about it. It's, blame gives your power away, and responsibility gives it to yourself.
That's so true. It's about recognizing that we have the power to change our own lives, even when it feels impossible.
100%. And that shift in mindset is huge. It's about moving from why me to what can I do about it?
It's about becoming the hero of your own story, which is exactly what Liz did.
I love that. But some people say that Liz is a narcissist just because she's so confident online. What do you think about that?
Well, she actually addresses those criticisms head on in the interview. She says that she uses bold statements to challenge societal norms and to empower others to embrace self-love.
I can see that. And she walks the walk too. She's not just all talk. Remember that story about how she paid the salaries of those waitresses whose boss wouldn't support them?
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That really showed her character.
It did. And it kind of ties into her advice about dealing with narcissists.
Oh yeah, what did she say about that?
Well, she tells women to trust their intuition, to pay attention to actions more than words, and to be aware of the power dynamics in their relationships.
That's good advice.
It is, and it makes you realize how important it is to be discerning about who you let into your life.
It's about protecting your energy and not letting people take advantage of you.
Exactly. And that's something Liz has learned the hard way. She even talks about how we sometimes mesmerize people by putting them on a pedestal, projecting our own desires onto them, and not seeing them for who they really are.
Ooh, I've definitely been there.
Me too. It's like we create this illusion of who we want them to be, and then we're surprised when they don't live up to it.
And we end up giving away our power in the process.
For sure, which is why knowing your own worth is so important.
You deserve to be with someone who celebrates you, not someone who you have to constantly build up.
Preach. But, even when you know your worth, dating can be tough. Especially for successful women, Liz talks about how a lot of men feel intimidated by their success.
So they see it as a competition instead of a partnership.
Exactly, and it makes you wonder how much societal expectations play into that.
Oh, for sure. There's been a lot of talk lately about soft masculinity and how men are struggling to adapt to changing gender roles.
Yeah, it's a whole other deep dive waiting to happen.
Seriously. But Liz brings up an interesting point about her dad when talking about so-called broke men.
Oh yeah, what was that about?
Well, she's not talking about men who are financially struggling. She's talking about men who lack ambition and a willingness to create abundance.
Right, so it's more about mindset than actual financial status.
Exactly. It's about having that go-getter attitude, which is something Liz definitely embodies.
She's all about taking ownership of your life and creating the reality you want.
Totally. And speaking of creating the reality you want, she has some interesting things to say about the pressure women feel to get married and have kids by a certain age.
It's like society has this timeline for women, and if you don't follow it, you're somehow behind.
So true. It's like everyone's looking at the same script.
Right. But Liz challenges that whole biological clock narrative. She even says that a lot of married women actually envy the freedom of single life.
That's interesting. I've never thought about it that way.
So, right? And instead of stressing about that timeline, Liz advocates for embracing the concept of divine timing.
Which is all about trusting that things will happen when they're meant to.
Yeah, it's about letting go of control and believing that what's meant for you won't pass you by.
It takes a lot of faith to surrender to that, though.
It does, but Liz's whole message is about trusting the journey and having faith in yourself.
And that leads us to one of her most powerful messages.
Hmm.
The difference between self-love and selfishness.
Ah, yes, that's a good one. We're often taught to put others' needs before our own, but Liz challenges that.
It's like we're conditioned to believe that self-care is selfish.
Exactly. But Liz encourages listeners to applaud themselves for their achievements, something we often hesitate to do.
And she emphasizes that taking care of ourselves allows us to show up better for others.
It's that whole you can't pour from an empty cup analogy.
Right. And it's about recognizing that you're worthy of love and care
Yeah.
just as much as anyone else.
Speaking of worthiness, a lot of us struggle with imposter syndrome. What does Liz have to say about that?
Well, she believes it stems from those limiting beliefs that tell us we're not good enough.
And how do we overcome those beliefs?
Liz encourages us to take action and develop our skills. It's about proving to ourselves that we are capable. And as we gain competence, our confidence grows.
It's like that saying, fake it till you make it.
Exactly. She even compares life to a video game, where we get to choose the character we want to be. And the more we act like that character, the more that identity becomes real.
So we're literally leveling up by making choices that align with the vision we have for ourselves.
It's a really cool way to think about personal growth.
But it's not always easy. There are challenges along the way, like what happens when you outgrow friendships or you face jealousy from people who haven't achieved the same level of success.
That's a tough one. But Liz has a really interesting take on it. She sees jealousy as an indicator of desire.
Like, it's showing you what you want.
Yeah. Instead of getting bogged down by the negative emotions, she suggests channeling that energy into action.
So use it as fuel to pursue your own goals and create the life you desire.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that someone else's success doesn't diminish your own potential.
Liz also talks about the importance of setting boundaries, especially when dealing with negative people or energy vampires.
She has this incredible ability to see multiple perspectives. It allows her to understand others' actions without condoning them,
It's like she doesn't take anything personally.
which is such a valuable skill to cultivate,
Absolutely. It's about protecting your energy and choosing your battles wisely.
and not letting other people's negativity drag you down.
Liz's story is so inspiring. It's about taking responsibility for your life, embracing self-love, and trusting that everything happens for a reason.
It's been fascinating diving into her world and unpacking her wisdom.
We've only just scratched the surface, though. There's so much more to explore.
In part 2, we'll be delving deeper into Liz's philosophy on gratitude, letting go, and the power of divine timing. You won't want to miss it. So we're back, diving deeper into this interview with Liz, and I gotta say, her philosophy is so refreshing.
Yeah, she's really honest about the ups and downs, and it makes her advice feel really relatable.
Totally. She talks about how she had to unlearn that habit of putting everyone else's needs before her own.
Yeah, like reprogramming her whole belief system, which is like a huge challenge.
It is, and I think a lot of women especially struggle with that.
Oh, for sure. It's like we're socialized to be caregivers, to put others first.
Right, but Liz shows us how powerful it can be to prioritize your own well-being.
Exactly. It's not selfish. It's actually necessary.
And she talks about gratitude a lot and letting go of overthinking.
Which is something we hear all the time, but she brings a different perspective to it.
It's fascinating how she connects letting go with reclaiming your energy.
How so?
She says, like, when you stop desperately wanting something, that's when it comes to you. It's
Interesting.
like you're shifting the energy
I'm
dynamic.
not putting out that desperate vibe anymore.
Right. She uses the example of an ex, like they reappear the minute you stop wanting them back.
Oh, yeah, I've totally experienced that.
It's because you've taken back your energy.
They can sense that shift.
Exactly. Have you ever noticed how, like, the things we chase the hardest seem to elude us?
All the time. Like, it's almost like the universe has a sense of humor.
Right. And Liz says this applies to everything, not just relationships.
Money, success, all of it.
That desperate energy can really block things.
So what's the antidote to that?
Liz talks about cultivating a sense of abundance.
Believing that the universe will provide.
Yeah, and trusting the journey, even when things feel uncertain,
It's about surrendering control.
which can be so hard.
It can. And, there's this really raw moment in the interview where Liz talks about feeling so overwhelmed that she didn't even want to live anymore.
Wow. Yeah, that was intense.
It was. But her honesty is what makes her message so powerful.
It's a reminder that everyone goes through tough times, even the most successful people.
And it's inspiring to see how she came out on the other side.
She talks about this moment during a walk in nature, and she heard this voice in her head saying, "Wanting nothing gives you everything."
Wow, that's That's pretty profound.
It was a turning point for her.
Like she finally surrendered.
And that's when everything she'd been striving for started flowing into her life.
That's amazing. It's like a testament to the power of letting go.
Trusting in something bigger than yourself.
And for Liz, that something bigger is God.
Yeah, her faith is a big part of her story.
But she encourages us to see God as a partner, you know?
Like someone you can have a close relationship with.
Exactly. It's not about blind faith.
It's about actively cultivating that connection.
She even talks about having conversations with God, like he's her best friend.
That's beautiful. It's a reminder that spirituality can be very personal.
It can be. And Liz also emphasizes the importance of asking for what we want.
Oh, that's a good one.
We often limit ourselves by not believing we deserve good things.
Or by being afraid to ask for too much.
Yeah, but Liz says there's enough for everyone.
It goes back to that abundance mindset.
It does. This whole interview is like a masterclass in mindset shifts.
It is. It's full of practical advice and inspiring anecdotes.
It makes you want to level up your own life.
Her energy is contagious, and she's not afraid to challenge conventional thinking.
It's like she's giving us permission to embrace our full selves.
And to go after what we want.
With passion and determination.
And speaking of that, she talks about the importance of building skills, like becoming good at something.
As a way to boost confidence.
Right. It's not about being arrogant. It's about knowing your worth.
And that confidence comes from competence, you know? When you have a skill set you're proud of.
Exactly. You feel good about yourself.
Yeah. But she also challenges this idea of just accepting ourselves as we are.
Oh, interesting. What does she say about that?
Well, she argues that if she had just accepted herself, she might still be stuck in those negative cycles, you know?
Like the depression and self-doubt.
Yeah, it's not about denying our flaws, but recognizing that we have the power to change.
We can grow and evolve.
Exactly. And Liz actually says something pretty bold. She says, sometimes you are the devil that you're trying to blame.
Whoa, that's deep.
It is, but it's also true.
It's about taking responsibility.
Owning our power.
Not making excuses.
And making choices that align with the person we want to be.
And she talks about setting boundaries, too.
Oh, yes, that's so important.
Recognizing that we have the power to choose who we allow into our lives.
Absolutely. Protecting our energy and well-being.
Because negative people can really drag us down.
They can. And Liz's advice on dealing with jealousy is really insightful.
What does she say?
She encourages us to reframe it, like see it as a source of motivation.
Turn that negative energy into something positive.
Exactly. Use it as fuel to pursue your own goals.
Instead of feeling resentful?
You can be inspired by other people's success.
It's a powerful mindset shift.
Liz's whole approach to life is so inspiring. It's like she's saying, stop playing small, you know?
Live life on your own terms.
Yeah. Embrace your full potential.
Her energy is infectious.
Her wisdom is profound.
And she reminds us that we're all capable of creating a life filled with abundance and joy.
It's about believing in ourselves and trusting the process.
And taking action towards our dreams.
Liz's interview is a must-listen.
For anyone who's ready to level up their life.
And in part 3, we'll be diving into Liz's perspective on self-perception.
How our beliefs shape our reality.
She has some really fascinating things to say about how we view ourselves.
And how those perceptions can either limit us or empower us.
It's all about recognizing the power of our thoughts.
And using them to create the life we desire.
Stay tuned for more from the Wizard Liz in part 3 of this deep dive.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with Liz so far, from taking responsibility to embracing self-love. But there's one thing that really sticks with me.
What's that?
Her perspective on self-perception, like how we see ourselves, really shapes our reality.
Oh, absolutely. She has that awesome analogy about life being like a video game, right? We choose the character we want to play.
Yeah, and the more we act like that character, the more it becomes our reality.
It's all about aligning our actions with the person we want to be.
Leveling up, basically.
Exactly. And that ties into her thoughts on imposter syndrome, too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, she thinks those feelings of not being good enough come from limiting beliefs about ourselves.
So it's not about our actual abilities, it's about what we believe about ourselves.
Exactly. And instead of getting stuck in those beliefs, she encourages us to step into the role we want to play.
Even if it feels a little scary at first.
Yeah, because action is what solidifies that identity.
Makes sense. You know, she has this interesting idea about delusion. Oh, what's that?
She says we're all delusional to some extent because we believe we'll live forever.
Until we die, obviously.
Yeah, but until that moment, it's like we have this inherent belief in our own immortality.
I never thought of it that way.
It's kind of a delusion, right?
It is, in a way.
And her point is, if we can be delusional about that, Why can't we be delusional about achieving our
It's
dreams,
about harnessing the power of belief.
even when logic or fear tells us to stay put?
She's all about pushing those boundaries.
So how do we apply this to our lives? If you're feeling stuck, what would Liz say?
She'd probably say, start by figuring out the character you want to play.
Like in the game of your life?
Yeah. What qualities do they have? What actions do they take?
And then start acting like that person?
Even if it feels weird at first.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Liz also talks about the challenges that come with success, like how do you deal with changing dynamics in relationships?
It's true, like when you're growing and evolving, not everyone can keep up.
Right, you might outgrow some friendships.
And then there's the jealousy factor.
Oh yeah, how do you handle that?
Well, Liz sees jealousy as an indicator of desire.
So it's showing you what you want.
Yeah, instead of getting caught up in the negative emotions, she suggests using that energy as fuel.
To pursue your own goals.
Exactly.
Instead of feeling resentful, you can be inspired.
It's all about perspective.
And you know what else is impressive? Liz's ability to see multiple perspectives.
Oh, yeah. Even when people aren't supportive of her success.
She can understand their actions without condoning them.
It takes a lot of maturity.
It does, and it allows her to set boundaries.
Choose her battles wisely.
She doesn't get caught up in the drama.
She protects her energy,
And a big part of that comes from her faith.
her connection to something greater than herself,
And she encourages everyone to cultivate their own spiritual connection.
whatever form that may take.
It's about recognizing that we're not alone.
There's a bigger picture.
And Liz sees belief in God as being intertwined with belief in oneself.
Recognizing our own worthiness.
Trusting that we're guided and supported.
It's a beautiful concept.
It is. And she reminds us to not get obsessed with outcomes.
Or attached to specific timelines.
Letting go of control.
Trusting that things will unfold as they should.
Liz's interview is so empowering, it really makes you think.
It does. It's a call to action.
A reminder to believe in ourselves.
To ask for what we want.
And to create a life we truly love.
This deep dive has been such a journey.
Liz's story is a testament to the power of self-belief and resilience.
And choosing to live life on your own terms.
It's been awesome unpacking her wisdom with you.
We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
And remember, the journey of personal growth never ends.
Keep leveling up and creating the reality you desire.